My dad's made hundreds of thousands of scrambled eggs over his 50 years as a Chinese chef, and his secret isn't expensive equipment or some complicated technique. It's 2 teaspoons of ingredients and 1 extra minute of prep. Today, we're testing my dad's pro chef eggs against a more typical batch of scrambled eggs while breaking down the 3 Chinese restaurant secrets that make scrambled eggs dramatically fluffier and tastier. From the 5 ingredients he never skips to why most people aren't beating their eggs for long enough, and a cooking principle we call the wet towel. Let's start by making 2 batches side by side.
一個咧咩味道都唔落，唔炒可以係有咩分別？呢個咧就3隻蛋，呢度咧落足味料嘅就5隻。
Everything you're about to learn in this video is centered around solving one core problem. Raw eggs are 75% water, with millions of free-floating proteins. The challenge is that heat causes these proteins to bond, and if those bonds get too tight, the egg squeezes out its own moisture and turns dense and rubbery. Everything we add and do to these eggs not only makes them taste better, but keeps that moisture locked inside where it belongs.
而家就落味嚇，呢個咧有油，一個湯匙嘅油落去，落咗油之後咧，炒起個蛋咧，佢又會咧好鬆化、好靚，個面上好光滑、好嫩滑。呢個咧唔落油咧，炒上嚟嘅睇落去咧就冇咁靚嘅啞色啲啦，就啞色啲。呢個落油之後咧，佢炒出嚟嘅咧就靚好多嘅面啦，好食啲啦，幼滑啲，睇落去就鬆化啲。
點解唔係就咁擺落嘅喎，或者要煎嘅？
係撈埋啲蛋一齊發起嘅時候咧，佢啲油同啲蛋咧就混合埋啦嘛，全部混合埋喺度，咁炒起上嚟啲油咧，成隻碟蛋咪好光滑咯，呢個冇油發嘅咧，個蛋嘅時候咧，炒出嚟啲面咧就冇咁光滑咯。
Whisking oil into the egg batter coats the proteins before cooking begins, making it harder for them to grip each other too tightly when the heat hits. It's the same reason fat makes a pie crust crumbly rather than chewy, because fat physically interrupts protein bonding.
呢個咧落少少胡椒粉落去，佢一炒上嚟隻蛋就劈咗嗰啲腥味啦，1/4好少少得啦，或者1/5/4都唔緊要啦。胡椒粉，中國餐所以佢好多時候用胡椒粉，佢就可以劈咗腥味嚟出。特別喺食魚嘅時候咧，多數都落啲胡椒粉落去嘅。佢有啲劈腥同埋有啲辣，少少辣味。唔需要太多嘅，太多嘅話，你覺得佢會辣嘅話咧，如果你中意食辣啲嘅咧，你就可以加多啲，但唔需要咁多嘅。 適量就得啦，你可以唔加，有啲人唔中意胡椒粉或者係過敏嘅，就可以唔加胡椒粉。
As my dad mentioned, white pepper is extremely common in Cantonese cuisine. While it doesn't change the texture like oil does, it's like a silent assassin, a spice with a subtle but sharp heat and aroma. When it's placed side by side with meaty, gamey aromas, it competes for the taste buds' attention. The gamey aromas are still there, but they get drowned out.
再嚟嘅呢個係雞粉嚟嘅，雞粉咧係可以增加嗰個炒蛋嗰碟菜嘅味道、鮮味，佢少少雞粉落去，反過嚟佢有種鮮味喺度嘅，半個茶匙嘅雞粉啦。
Chicken bouillon adds a layer of umami through its glutamates, the G in MSG, which activate dedicated receptors on your tongue that register savory depth. This makes the eggs, and really any dish, taste more full and complete.
你係咪平時加雞粉啊？
係落雞粉嘅，落雞粉之後咧，佢整碟菜嘅味道咧就會鮮啲嘅，佢會鮮啲。我當然你唔中意咧，你可以唔落，呢個就唔一定話要你落。呢個就係鹽啦，睇下你要幾多嘅份量，因為蛋咧唔需要太多鹽落，蛋本身咧佢有一種味嗰個啦，我個半個茶匙就好啦，半個茶匙鹽，太多咧就唔好啦，因為蛋本身係有一種鮮味喺度噶啦。 咩都要落鹽先就好食嘅，嗰個紫菜咧冇鹽落去咧就百味之首嚟嘅，即係話你冇鹽子都送出嚟就冇味啦。 俾咩落去都唔好食噶啦，冇唔好食噶啦。鹽可以講係百味之首，你冇鹽咧，煮都送出嚟咧就唔好食嘅，你知道嘛？你自己試下啦，你試下呢個冇鹽咩都味冇味落嘅，你食出嚟就知道啦，分別到啦。
In addition to tastier eggs, salt also makes them more juicy and fluffy, for the same reasons that you'd brine a chicken or salt a steak overnight. In all 3 cases, salt gets into the proteins early and reorganizes them so heat can't tighten them into a rubbery, dry mass. This process takes a lot longer with thick slabs of meat, but it's almost instantaneous with beaten eggs.
另外咧，糖咧就半個茶匙就好啦，一半個茶匙糖同鹽咧兩樣放落嘅時候咧，佢嘅味道咧就中和咗鹽、甜同鹹佢中和一下，嗰個味道咧就 另外即係唔同噶啦。睇下你嘅有幾多份量。嗱，我5隻蛋我就係俾半個茶匙糖就得啦。啲少少糖落去，即係中和一下嘅味道，或者係
會唔會整個蛋係滑啲嘅？
呢個可以咁講，有啲糖落去咧，發嗰隻蛋咧，嗰碟蛋咧就可以鬆化啲咁嘅感覺喺度嘅，有啲糖喺度啊，有個糖發個蛋就冇乜影響，但係糖同油咧發咗個蛋咧炒出嚟咁，佢會鬆化啲嘅。另外一個咧糖同鹽中和一下咧，佢嘅味道咧就好好食好多啦。
Whereas salt changes the actual proteins, a pinch of sugar does something surprising. It physically gets between the proteins and stops them from gripping onto each other too tightly. Just like how sugar works in creme brulees or custards, the result is a more fluffy, airy, open protein network.
所以你餐館都係屋企都係你成日會加糖。
係啊，好多時候都係鹽同糖。糖唔好太多，少少落去，咁佢就可能中和咗嘅味道喺度。你個比例嘅鹽，當然你多啲蛋咪多啲味道落去咯。呢個就肯定啊。你俾咗晒之後咧，我就發蛋啦。嗱，發蛋咧又係呢個3隻蛋嘅。發蛋嘅時候咧，要拋起上去。嗱，唔好咁樣攪啊，咁樣攪唔好蛋，要直成係咁，好似反轉咁啊。嗱。好似啲海浪啊，好似啲游去啲海邊啲浪咁啊，或者浪好似啲海浪咁發啲蛋咧，佢就會泡起晒，啲蛋白同蛋黃咧，佢就好快脆咁樣混合埋一齊。你咁樣搞咧就搞唔到嘅嚇，搞唔到啲蛋黃蛋白嘅嚇，一定要發起佢。
The problem with stirring eggs vertically with a fork, like mixing a drink with a straw, is that the eggs start to move with the fork rather than being disrupted by it. The horizontal wave motion works against that momentum instead. The prongs drag across the full width of the bowl on every stroke, fully breaking up the yolk and incorporating finer air bubbles. Importantly, this also allows the oil and seasoning to work their chemical magic on more strands of protein.
發嘅時候咧，佢就會起泡㗎啦。一泡嗰度咯，係嘛？一泡嗰度咯，要睇到佢嘅叉同咁，或者你有時有啲又搞蛋機啊咁搞，嗰啲又不過你咁少蛋就冇所謂咧，用個叉得㗎啦，係嘛？你睇到啦，睇到就蛋白咧有一條條喺度嘅，未交得勻啦，係嘛？呢咪蛋白咧，呢啲係蛋白啦。啲蛋白同蛋黃咧，越混合得好越好啊！你一定係要大力啲，但係有力咁大力咁佢先容易啊！得嗱點樣得？唔同啦啊！再搞呢個咧，呢個有油嘅嗬，有味嘅時候一定要大力嗬，唔好咁樣搞就搞唔到啦，要大力啲快啲，你咁樣就搞唔到啦。落咗糖咧，嗰啲糖落嘅咧，落啲油糖落嘅咧，發起上嚟佢就容易好多㗎。嗱，有落咗糖油，佢容易散啲嘅，係咪？睇到嗰啲發起嚟嗰啲蛋液咧，蛋汁咧，佢係稀咗嘅。嗱，啲蛋白同蛋黃咧撈埋一齊啦，混合埋一齊啦。你肉眼可以睇到蛋黃同蛋白起泡啦。
如果唔係今日錄緊影，你都會嘥咁多時間去發。
係啊，你錄唔錄影，你想好食咧，你又要做多啲功啦。凡係我哋做烹調煮嘢嘅咧，你想好食，你一定要落啲心機落去做。呢個就用心去做嗱，咁樣講咧，用個煮嘢做工都做咩都好，用個心去做，咁先至做得好。好似我煮嘢同你哋去電腦玩電腦一樣啫嘛，你用心機去做，咁先至做得好出嚟。如果你求其啦，咁你咪做唔得好咯。好似你做喺電腦咁樣，你去唔到嘅。如果你係求其咁做啦，睇到啦，兩樣嘅色就唔同啦。嗱，落咗味同唔落味嘅兩樣嘅蛋啊，呢啲咧睇到呢個3隻蛋咧就咩都冇落去，就咁發散晒蛋黃同蛋白反晒，係咪黃色啲？呢個咧就落咗味嘅鹽糖雞粉落去，發咧個色同個深色啲，呢個淺色啲。
The bouillon and pepper explain the darker color, but not the translucency. That comes from the salt denaturing the proteins even before cooking begins, which changes how light passes through them. Next is the most important part, which is cooking the eggs. And this is where my dad's Chinese restaurant techniques might look completely different from what we're used to in Western cooking. Before we move on, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, Zwilling, for sending us their latest peak pans to cook our scrambled eggs in. Zwilling's been at the game since 1731, and their peak pans have a pretty clever construction, with a titanium reinforced exterior and an interior that features these raised stainless steel bumps on top of a ceramic coating. The ceramic coating is non-toxic without PFAs, and unlike some other pans, you can actually use metal utensils utensils as the surface is extremely scratch resistant. Since this is our first time using it, my dad always likes to boil hot water in the pan before washing it with soap.
滾之後咧，再煲佢幾分鐘，嗰啲防腐劑咧洗過佢，好啦，上火。
And now it's ready for cooking. We're going to be using a gas stove to cook our eggs in the peak pan, but it works on any stove type, including induction, and can also go into the oven up to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. A lot of pans out there really shouldn't be heated to the temperatures that some Chinese dishes require, but given how the peak pan is constructed and how hot it can go, this makes for a pretty versatile option in your kitchen. I'm jumping ahead here, but you can also see how easily these eggs slide off the pan. If you're interested in adding this to your arsenal, click the link in our description to learn more about the Zwilling peak lineup and support our channel in the process.
而家全部功夫做好晒之後咧，就而家開始炒啦。一個炒嘅時候咧，開猛火開猛火燒熱隻鑊，鐵鑊更加要燒到個鑊好熱先至俾油，知道嘛？鐵鑊一定要燒到好熱先至俾油。而家燒到而家嗰呢啲隻鑊，呢個唔黐鑊嘅咧，就可以唔使燒到咁熱，嗱，我而家咧就落油咯喎，一個湯匙嘅油上去，啷咗油。
For this first unflavored batch, we're going to focus on the how of scrambled eggs. And for the second flavored batch, we're going to focus on the why.
咁然之後咧，就開始俾發咗蛋咧攪佢先
Always stir the eggs right before cooking, since the mixture will have started to settle.
嗱，唔好倒佢落去，呢個係冇味嘅，咩都冇嘅，新慢啲中火先
Generally, we start on high heat when the pan is empty and dial it back to low heat right before adding the eggs.
然之後咧，慢慢推佢，
These 3 eggs are in and out of the pan in about 45 seconds.
慢火，
你加完你翻慢火。
係慢火，跟住慢火炒，呢隻鑊夠熱仲係熱啊嘛，所以咧推咗佢，
中火定慢火？
慢火都得㗎，你隻鑊夠熱啊嘛，好啦，如果炒落俾落，即係碟裝住佢咯喎。
Next, with our flavored batch of eggs, we'll walk through a 2-phase framework to cooking scrambled eggs.
跟住炒呢個咧，唔使鑊得啦，就俾張紙抹一抹佢，俾張紙抹一抹得㗎啦。我哋都係俾一個湯匙嘅油。
Cooking 5 eggs takes a bit longer. It's about 1 minute instead of 30 to 40 seconds.
中火得啦，隻鑊已經夠熱，就唔需要咩啦，中火得啦，一樣都係將蛋再發一發佢，慢俾落去。
Cooking scrambled eggs happens in 2 phases, liquid, then solid. For the liquid phase, you can think of it as controlled flooding, where you're directing different portions of the liquid egg onto hot metal.
慢慢推佢慢慢推佢。
The moment the egg touches a hot surface, millions of floating proteins start to cling to each other. The underside, the part touching the pan, starts to set and turn solid. Your job in this phase is to lift that cooked layer to send in fresh liquid before the proteins tighten into a rubbery, dry mess. My dad likes to form a pile of semi-cooked eggs to make space for this fresh liquid.
搞完呢度，等啲蛋液就留翻中間去咯，係嘛？咁推咧，啲熟嘅喺呢度，
你生喺邊度？
嗱，生喺底下咯，炒咗佢啦。
After 30 to 40 seconds in the liquid phase, we're now in the solid phase. While eggs are 75% water, much of the liquid is now embedded inside of solid egg curds, after millions of proteins have firmly lashed onto each other. The goal is to stop cooking soon after this transition. Think of it like a towel drenched in water, where the harder you squeeze and twist it, the more water comes out. From here, scan for any uncooked bits of egg, flipping them onto the hot surface while scooting cooked egg bits to the edges of the pan. Notice how my dad lifts the pan from the direct heat of the stove.
得啦，熟噶啦，生火，呢嘢咩都冇落嘅，你就啦。
你試下。
咩？呢啲咧落足味噶啦。係嘛
Oh, that's much better. 有多啲味係仲係滑啲嘅。
佢仲鬆化啫，係咪？鬆化啫，
鬆好多啊！
因為佢有油啊嘛。
咬都係容易啲啊！呢個咪硬咬，
硬啲咯，實啲咯，因為佢有油有糖擺佢，佢食起嚟咪鬆化。嗱呢個咧就實啲咯，唔揾到糖嘅味啊，即係鹽同糖整混合埋啦嘛。
So good. OK。
好，阿毛，希望大家中意嚇。Okay.
YouTube thinks you'll like this video next. Let's see if they're right.